and welcome back to the podcast. How are you doing? That question really came to heart as I wanted to start recording this, because I love those people that when you ask them how they're doing, they're so vulnerable and raw and just say it how it is. And if they're not okay, they're just like, I'm not having a good day today. And doing it from a very conscious place and really honoring how they're truly feeling. And it got me thinking today when, I asked someone how they are and they shared that they weren't doing the best. I really checked in with myself and I had to ask myself, how am I doing? Because we often don't fully check in with truly what's in our heart, or we try and let our mind tell us how we should be feeling. Or I personally find that I try and be strong or pretend I'm strong or act like I'm strong. And the only person I'm actually acting to is myself, because I want to potentially avoid the pain of how I'm truly feeling, or I want to move past something, so I'll act strong and not like gaslight myself, but I'll try and coach myself in ways, or tell myself that you deserve the best, or it's going to be okay and it's their loss and I'm fine, or whatever it is. And there is such raw beauty and vulnerability and just being like, you know what, this is how I'm actually feeling, and knowing that it doesn't stay like that forever. And as I thought about this morning, this podcast topic came to mind, and it is being in the brokenness after a breakup, or just being in the brokenness, period, full stop. If you're just in that place, it doesn't have to be after a breakup. You could just be really going through it in that season of life. Like, hello, eclipse season, Mercury is in the microwave, it's all going Gatorade at the minute. Like, this all kicked off on I think it was a new moon, who knows? And I just know there is a lot of people going through a lot of big transitions in life right now. Maybe you are like me and you feel like once again your life is just blown up in front of your face. And eclipse season, like, speaking about it, like, it really does have this energy of death and rebirth and just clearing out anything that's no longer working for you. Especially, we came to the end of an astrological year. We started Aries season. It's giving that fiery energy, but also when you're in the eclipse season, and just, I feel, we're coming into that second quarter of the year, and you really start evaluating, the first couple of months and the choices that you've made, and really asking yourself, am I aligned to those goals I set for myself at the start of the year? Or have I started to veer off track? Because we can set these beautiful goals for ourselves, or these big visions and these things we want to do, and then we can slip back up into our old ways, or we get, caught up in life and just, moving and doing. And then sometimes it takes like something happening, or losing something or someone, or, really just like coming to a halt and being still, and really forcing yourself to look inwards, that you can actually see what it is that you truly desire, and where it is that you're not fully, hi Leo, that was my cat, she agrees, like where you're not fully living in alignment or with your authentic heart and truth, and how you might have regressed into people-pleasing habits, or not using your voice, or accepting less than what you truly know that it is that you deserve. And so in this episode, I did want to talk about being in that brokenness, in that broken space, and I'm going to apply it to my own self and my own life, and just share from my truth. And that is, being in that space and place after a breakup or a situationship ending, and breaking up with a boyfriend or with someone that you've been dating, for me has been this big teacher in my life of something I've gone through repeatedly. I'm in my late 20s now, and I look back and it's these breakups that have been the catalyst for my growth and the big teachers, but they've also been the thing that have taken me down to rock bottom and brought me to my knees, and really questioned myself and strengthened my faith, and truly shaped me as a woman. And I can, speak from a very open-hearted place right now. Like, this brokenness you feel after a relationship or a loss of anything is such, like, it comes with such grief. And it's these real life moments and experiences that make us feel most human. And, we can't control others and we can't control this life. And I think breakups and partners and when we lose things and people, it's such a mirror to how finite life is and how we have to truly cherish each moment and each minute that we have with the person when we have them, because when you lose them, it is then that you realize this. And yeah, as I thought about this brokenness that I've felt like I've been transitioning through, I really went through it last year. At the end of last year, it was the hardest thing I've ever gone through. And I really was at this place in my life where I didn't think I could endure any more pain from a situation. I felt like I had lost the thing that I had loved the most. At the same time, I lost my job. I didn't know what my purpose was. I didn't know how I was going to survive. And then I also lost the person that I cared about truly the most in my life. And it was in that I didn't think it was going to get any better. And then when you start to come out the other side and you start to see the light and you start to heal and you do the work on yourself, and then things start to finally feel like they're good again. And maybe you meet someone new like I did. And then you get reminded that nothing is fully permanent, and we're going to go through these things again, and we're going to have to move through these things of life, and it isn't always easy. And I think it brought me back through those feelings that I had experienced of last year, of what it feels like to lose someone that you care about. And I don't know, for me, when I'm going through like something, it can feel like the loneliest, hardest thing ever. Like I was waking up with anxiety in the middle of the night, or the first thing I thought about when I woke up was like, is this real? And then I had that like heart-wrenching, soul-destroying feeling of realizing that this is actually my current reality and this is my life, and this person isn't in my life anymore. And I truly went through that so much last year, and then to re-experience that as of recently was really confronting to start to fall in love again and share your heart with someone, and then to wake up every single morning and just be reminded that I've lost this person, or they're not in my life anymore, they've broken up with me, and I don't have them. And it's one of those feelings that I was in the brokenness. I've been in the brokenness, being very real and honest. And it's hard, especially with a breakup. It's the first thing that you think about and the last thing that you think about before you go to sleep, in those moments where you're alone. And it's in that alone that you truly find yourself, and you come home to yourself and you heal yourself, because you've got no one else but you in those moments that can make it better, because no one can take your pain away from you other than you and your faith and your connection to yourself and the divine, or whomever you pray to. And I don't think people talk about grieving someone who is still alive enough. Like, this was never taught to me. And I think it was my first podcast episode where I spoke about grief, and to grieve someone that is still living is such a process, because I feel like when you lose someone, you can be at peace. It's a heartbreak that you don't have this person in the world anymore, but then to grieve someone that's still alive, and then to be your own worst enemy as such, and allow your anxiety and your mind and your ego to start creating stories, or thinking about things like, I started thinking about this person now being with someone else and moving on. And it truly takes so much self-control and discipline to, one, not think about these things, but also in this day and age to not look at what they're doing on social media. Because I started to go down this spiral, and I was constantly thinking about who they were with, or had they moved on already whilst I was still grieving it, or still so heartbroken, and thinking about had I meant so little to them that they could have already moved on. And then I was seeking and searching answers from an ego place to almost like affirm these things to myself. And you will perpetuate your own sadness when you start to create these stories in your head. And like, truly, I am guilty of this, because recently the guy I was dating broke it off with me. And that day he was on a following spree from girls, clearly from dating apps. And it truly shattered my heart, because as I was sobbing over losing this person who I thought potentially could be in my life forever, he was already looking at the next girl to date. And it broke me more than I was already broken. But ultimately, people are their own free person, and they can do as they please. So like, this person wasn't in the wrong, but you hurt yourself when you go seeking and searching these things rather than taking your power back and focusing on yourself. And it's the same if, for example, like I did last year, I lost my job. If I am focused on the fact that I've lost it, I am not focusing on myself and doing what I need to do in order to heal from that, or make different decisions, or find something new, and like a new purpose, a new direction, whatever it is. And it can be especially difficult if you have lost someone through a breakup and you feel like in your heart that you should be with this person, or that you wanted it to work out. Or, for example, if it didn't end badly and you're just two people in a different place, it's so hard to, accept that sort of loss, versus if it was like a toxic relationship and it had to end. Because if we start focusing on the fact that, oh, you wish you were still together, or the fact that you still want this person in your life, you're kind of focusing on the past and reminiscing on what it was and the good times. And this is what I was doing. I was so focused on how good it was when it was good. I wasn't being in the present moment and looking at my reality of what was happening now, because I was thinking about, why did it happen? I don't understand. Things were so good. And you can't look back. You have to look forward and trust that if this person is meant to be in your life, or if this, thing is meant for you, it's going to come back. Things are going to align, and it will put you back on that path of where you're supposed to be, and who is supposed to be there will be there with you. And it all comes down to just trusting yourself and trusting faith and trusting the universe that what is meant for you will not miss you. And where you're meant to be, if you follow your intuition and follow your heart, even if, you go through a breakup and it's not making sense to you, like I was truly in that kind of space and place both last year and this year, where I'm like, it's not making sense to me, because I'm showing up as the best version of me that I can be. And I'm so loyal, and I'm so open-hearted and vulnerable, and have the best intentions, and I don't play games. I'm not understanding why it's not working, or what I've done wrong, or why this person doesn't want to be with me. And you can't focus on these things. You have to focus on how you can give yourself the most happiness and love whatever season that you're in. Even if you're in the brokenness, like not thinking about the past of when it was good, not focusing on where it went wrong. You need to just want the best for yourself. And then when you want the best for yourself, you're going to magnetize and attract the best things to you. And if you hold on to the hope of things potentially working out, or the bitterness, you are only slowing down your progress, because you're not focus on putting yourself first and your own growth. You're focusing on what you can do to get this person back, versus honoring yourself and pouring into yourself and say, if this person is meant for me, they are going to come back to me, and they're going to work hard, and it's going to be what it's meant to be. And you have to choose to have a different perspective, because I had to really go through this own sort of journey with myself, and kind of teach myself and coach myself with this, like having a different perspective on the situation, versus, like I said, dwelling on the past and focusing on how good it was. And knowing that if someone decides to walk away and not see your worth, like, you do not chase after a man. A man should choose you, and a man should chase you, and he should lead and pursue you, because, you know, that's what men do so well. And so if you're focused on the past of wanting this person back, you know, you're going to go in with that energy of seeking and chasing and trying to, you know, get someone's attention and validation or win them over. And instead, you should be pouring that into yourself, pouring in that happiness and love into yourself, so you are the very best version of yourself and you are healed. So if this person, for example, came back in, you are an even better version of yourself. And if this person never comes back, you want to have poured in yourself so much that when someone else comes along, or, you know, you decide to move on and set your soul free, it's like you do that from such an empowered whole place of being like not so broken in it. We're all broken humans in ways, but it's like you've really picked up those pieces of the brokenness that I'm talking about on the podcast episode. And to heal that brokenness that we can be in, that rock bottom, it's like you have to pick up the pieces that were shattered, those fragmented parts of you that you felt like you lost. If it's you've lost your self-worth, if you've lost your voice of like not speaking up for you, if you've settled for less than what you deserve, you have to kind of pick all these things back up and heal them one by one. Like really, you know, see your heart, heal it, like pick that back up, like take care of yourself, honor yourself, start taking care of your body if you've neglected it after a breakup. Start like picking up those like parts of me that I know, that self-worth that I had, that I was willing to just not see how amazing I was and settle for a behavior that wasn't truly good enough. Like it was not good enough. And what I did in those moments is I accepted less than what was right for me and for what I know I deserve, just to keep someone in my life, which is just, you know, that comes from an abandonment wound or, you know, a lack of self-worth. And, you know, people will have their own versions of you in relationships and in situations. And, you know, we can never, like I said, control other people. It's not up to us to control the narrative, and it's not up to us to control other people's choices. All you can do is know how you show up, know who you are, know how real and pure your heart is. And if we make mistakes, that's okay, because we're human. And, you know, you have to have humility and compassion for not only for others, but also for yourself, because we can't try and be perfect all the time. And I, you know, did this after, you know, the situation ending. I started questioning myself and doubting myself and asking myself, was it me? Was it something I'd done? Bless you, Leo. Was it me? Was it something I'd done? Could I have done something differently? And it's not, you can't think about those things, because then you're living in the past. And love is messy and raw, and it requires us to show up in our rawest and truest expression. And even if there's been parts of us that, you know, have been hurt along the way, it's like you show up as the wholest version of yourself, even if there's cracks in there, with the willingness to keep on propelling forward and moving forward, and not allowing the past to define you or control you or hold you back. One thing I found with like the messiness of breakups is wanting to share my truth with this person and like sharing how I feel, especially if I've been in like the brokenness of it. And there's no right or wrong way, because one person might say to walk away and not give away your power. And then someone else might say to use your voice and be honest. And one thing I love is like being able to be honest and share, you know, what I'm going through on this podcast. But my view on this is like you need to do anything you do from a healed place, and not do it because, for example, you couldn't, you know, speak your truth in your last relationship, so you want to do it now. Or you choose to walk away and block them from a very toxic place and not from a very neutral kind of heart-centered space. And in the brokenness, it's just owning that these feelings are entirely your own, and the experience that you're going through is completely your experience. And we can always play the blame game, and I could easily turn around and say, you know, how someone chose to end it wasn't the nicest and wasn't great, but I also have to honor like someone else with where they're at. And even when I lost my job last year, I was so hurt by it and how they chose to do it and just how it all ended. And I can live in the past and like dwell on that and think about that, or I can get bitter and angry and create stories around that in my head, or I can just accept it and move forward and focus on my growth and my peace. And that's kind of what I'm choosing to do after this breakup, because all you have is how you show up and your heart and the impact you make on this world. And I truly believe that to get through the brokenness, first of all, you have to really just see that it's a part of life and accept it with this sort of grace. And there's this heartbreak that sometimes can bring you closer to yourself. I believe that we do have to go through these things in order to get closer to our faith, in order to, be with ourselves. And the thing that broke you might also be the thing that saves you. And I say this from a very, broken place right now myself. And it's funny because when I compare this broken space that I'm in now versus the broken space that I was in last year, the growth and change within myself is so different. Like, I'm seeing it as such a blessing in a way, because it has helped me grow as a person. I am just like even more sure of myself. I learned things of how I could have shown up a bit differently. And at the same time, I have no regrets whatsoever, because I also was honoring myself and learning along the way. And we can only grow and get better from these things. But if I compared it to this sort of rock bottom that I hit last year, I was a mess. Like, when I say I didn't think it was possible for a human to cry as much as I cried, I never want to cry that much ever again in my life. I cried all day, every day, for days and days and days on end, just because I didn't understand how I was going to get through it. And then because I got through it, now when I've, been hit with that sort of realization of, wow, I'm heartbroken again. Like, I've just gotten over the worst heartbreak of my life and now I'm heartbroken again. It happened, and I was able to really just like be with that and not allow it to pull me down so low to a place where I didn't know how I was getting out of it. I didn't know heartbreak could hurt as much as it did, but like, it brought physical and emotional pain and scars. And now being in that space and place kind of again, where I'm like, wow, I'm back here. I just realized that I know I'm going to get through it. And I also know that if you're in this space and place as well, and you're kind of just going through it, just know, if I can get through what I got through last year and come out so much stronger, that there is so much hope and love waiting for you. And I truly hope that, I do get to experience love again and open my heart to the level that I have. And sometimes it's just this heartbreak that keeps on breaking your heart more and more open, and then the right love will meet you right there. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about being in the brokenness and heartbreak and just really being in it as I'm currently in it. And I hope that in the future, in a year's time, I can like listen back to this podcast episode and be like, oh my God, that was so cute. You were so heartbroken over that. And look where we are now. Because that's just like the beauty. Like, when you read those old journal entries and you're like, whoa, I got through that. And you are going to get through this, because yeah, I know we are. As I speak from a very tender heart of just like, it's been like 2 weeks now, and I'm like still trying to process the loss of someone who was fairly new into my life, like 4 months, like processing that loss. But it's the loss of like the hope that you had for you and them, and the love that you started to like let come out of you. And then it's just like, oh, I started to, let you into my world, and now you're gone. And it's so sad. It's so sad. I'm so sad over it. I won't lie. But at the same time, I'm just truly have this faith that like what's meant for me will not miss me. And I also only want the person who's fully ready to receive my love to be the one to receive it. So yes, I hope you have taken something from this podcast episode. I love you if you're going through it. Trust me, I'm there with you, and it's going to be okay. And I'm just going to keep on showing up and sharing what I've learned and what I know, and hopefully help you guys along the way. So thank you so much for listening. I love you, and I will see you in the next episode.